Welcome everyone to The Naked Founder, the business podcast where nothing is hidden. This episode of The Naked Founder is sponsored by Financial, the home of money for women. Our special guest today is Sean Brown, founder and CEO of Versori, which has just been acquired by US tech giant Avalara for an undisclosed sum. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to see you again.
No, it's great to see you too, and great to be here in the office. Sean, we always start every episode of The Naked Founder podcast with the same question. What didn't they tell you about founding a business that you wish you'd known at the start?
Well, no one told me anything about founding a business. So I didn't know anything at the start. So
Your family weren't entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial?
No, my granddad founded a caravan and motorhome dealership.
Yeah.
My dad went into that. And, you know, an anorak doesn't really look good on me, so I couldn't really wear the anorak on site. So no one really educated about the tech business. So, but one of the things that I would probably like to have been told earlier is it's not about me building something, it's about the team you can build around you to build something. So I underestimated the power of a team at the beginning, and you know me at the old days is I thought I could lift mountains on my own, and I was completely wrong, which is why it was a failure. But I wish I learned about people more.
It's that old phrase, there's no I in team, you know, and it's so true. And you're only as good as your weakest link as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met a more resilient founder than yourself. So I think over the years, you've been involved in 27 different projects. If I'd done a press release on every one, I wouldn't have room for anything else as well. And then this business, Versori, obviously has been acquired as well. Is the secret resilience, and is the moral of the story, if you don't succeed first time, try again?
Yeah, I would never associate myself with being resilient, because that's never ever come into, I should try harder, or I should brush myself off and build myself up again, because that's never really been a thought of consideration. It's just I like to build, and the best fun I could ever have is sat with my laptop just building stuff. And so it's not like people can interpret it as resilience. Oh, he just keeps going and he's finally got one that's hit. It's just been, no, I feel like I've built things that I'm passionate and interested about. And if they have a commercial value, and if I'm still interested in them, I'll give them a good go at launching and getting to market. So yeah, it's not really, resilience has never been a thought. It's just more what's cool that I can build next.
Is people talk about their happy place? So that could be on a beach, that could be in a car, that could be with family. Would your happy place be on your laptop building something?
Actually, yeah. If you speak to my wife, even if she manages to get me on holiday, I've been on one in like 3 years.
Where did you go?
Maldives.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, thanks. And I loved it because it was with the children, but they would go to bed around about 7-8 o'clock, and I would just sit up on my laptop until 2 o'clock in the morning, because that is my happy place.
Yeah.
If I could do it with a non-alcoholic beer and sat and listening to the waves, it's even better. But genuinely, you know, very simple life. We'll go back, watch TV on the sofa at night, but I'll have my laptop open, and like I can't get into series because I just want to build something.
My brain always is wired to be thinking of the next thing, and sometimes I beat myself up for not being in the moment as well. But if I wasn't there, I'd almost feel I'd be restless, and I'd be thinking about the thing that I really want to do. One of my favourite stories about you, and I've got a few, is when you were in Australia, 18-year-old backpacker, you ran out of cash. Not that story. It's a story where you ran out of money, you had a job lined up collecting glasses in a couple of days' time, and you came up with this idea where you were going to do a raffle, and you were going to raffle a skydive to other backpackers. You didn't have the present, the top prize, and you went out and convinced somebody to give you that skydive, which you then raffled.
Yeah.
Have you always been that sort of person? When your back's against the wall, you don't panic, you think of a way of making money.
That I can't believe you remembered that, but yeah, it was.
Well, I won that skydive.
Did you? Yeah, you didn't, because my maid did, because I couldn't. I wanted the money for it.
Oh right, we've got that on tape. Right? Yeah, okay.
No, it's that story is like, yeah. Well, I think the answer you're looking for is in the story itself. Is I got a job as a glass collector and PA for certain like kind of
Yeah.
events that happen
Yeah.
in this backpacker bar.
Yeah.
And it was only starting on the Monday, and I was skint for the week before, and they said, look, you can stay here on a reduced rate. I was like, well, I've got zero money.
Yeah. Are you
And
talking nothing?
I'm talking nothing, to the
Yeah.
point where I genuinely remember going past Bakeries
Yeah.
and sniffing to smell the freshly baked bread, to consider
Yeah.
and try and teach my brain that it was
Yeah.
nutrients that I was smelling. I was literally eating nothing.
Yeah.
Bananas and Rivitas is what I lived on for a week.
Yeah.
And elite athlete's diet, obviously.
100%. You've always been an elite athlete.
Yeah, thanks. And so, no, I just thought, I've got to go and make some money. And I know that the backpackers hostel that I was getting the job in, they were looking to drum up business into it. I was like, well, maybe if I can practice using the mic on Friday, can I use your space? And he says, yeah, I'll flyer for you. And they said, oh, brilliant. Yeah, go and do that. And then I went to Peter Pan, which is a travel agency out there, and convinced them to give me a skydive as long as I advertise on to all the backpackers that stay in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And just stood on it, went to a library, printed off, and literally ripped off, charged $5 for it, and sold them on. But it wasn't really I'm down and out, how can I fix this situation? It's just like, well, that'll work, so let me go and try it. I made about $250 on the first night, just on the corner of.
But that's the thing, you see, is that like a business, somebody outside your office right now on this corner washing cars, as the lights change, that is a business, fundamentally, because you're providing a service to suit a demand. Did you ever panic? Are you the sort of person, when you're in a bit of a sticky spot, that you panic or not? Or does that when we see the best of Sean Brown?
I think when I grew up, I moved. My mum was a pub manager, not a landlord, just a kind of a licensee. And we used to go around all these 2 for 10 pubs and live above the pub. And, so like mum would go down and work at night. I'd have to cook my own food, and but like quite young. And then even things like in the pubs, the rough pubs, so there'd be fights and literally guys headbutting my mum, like, and just having to throw yourself into it to get people and protect your mum, etc. from a really young age. So because we moved a lot of places, my relationship with stability was completely different to what anyone else's would be, unless they grew up in that sort of like changing scenes all the time. So therefore my relationship with stability and relationship with risk was completely flipped. I felt that staying still was more risky and unstable, and actually working for somebody for a wage was more risky, because then I'm at the fate of someone else, not my own. So actually my default relationship with risk and stability is completely inverted.
So does that mean you're unemployable?
Funnily enough, so my friend, he worked at a company called Psychometric. I think they went bump, but out in Australia, and it was this psychometric profiling where you play games. It's not by question and answer. You play games, and the job role that it came out with was an entrepreneur. And he said he'd never seen it before, because but it basically means I'm unemployable, because there's no defined role that I would work well in as a psychometric profile, which is bad for the new employers, because I don't know what they're going to think of hearing that.
No, but you, I think, yeah, you can, because we've known each other for a few years as well. But actually, and you've always had this, like, being this visionary, but you've got to try and bring your team with you now. And I think that's certainly what you've done with Versori. You did a post on LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn person. I like to watch. No, absolutely. I'll be posting this on LinkedIn as well. But I watch LinkedIn and I look at authenticity is key. I don't like these people who post on social media everything is great all of the time, because it's not. But you've posted about the fact that people see a successful business, they don't see the various businesses that you tried before, and they might not have all succeeded. So one business in 2009 that you set up was a little tech business called Scuba, where people could log their dives and build a community. You sold that for $6,000. Doesn't seem like a lot of money.
$1 a user.
$1 a user. Okay, what did you learn from that?
So I remember around that time I was backpacking, and something went wrong in Thailand. I got my laptop got stolen from me, and my auntie and uncle lived in Hong Kong, so they saved me and sort of like flew me out to Hong Kong and said, "Look, you've got nothing, so we'll look after you here." And it was while sat there, I was thinking, I really want to build a website, because Facebook was just starting to like
Yeah.
germinate, and there wasn't groups or anything on Facebook yet. So I wanted to create a social network for the thing that I loved at the time, which was scuba diving. So I built that, and I remember drawing the website on a pen and paper, and then looking at literally holding it up to the screen, saying like, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
But how do I do that? So I installed Dreamweaver and started playing around just on a little tiny web book, and just self-taught PHP, and was learning off YouTube and then putting it straight into my work.
You're 18 at the time.
1920, yeah. So it
1920.
was actually my 20th birthday where I got robbed. Yeah.
But that lesson taught you about how to run a business. And actually, if you don't know how to do something, teach yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Social chain. I think there's a few companies in the UK where there's like former social chainers have now gone on to big on better things as well. Now look at Social Chain. Obviously, it was set up by Don McGregor and a guy called Steven Bartlett. You might have heard of him, famously Dragon's Den and Diary of a CEO podcast. You went there, and I think you became, was it head of product?
I was head of product there, yeah.
Okay, so what did you learn from that, and what did you learn off of Dom and Steven Bartlett?
Yeah, so first met Dom because I founded Hatch, which is an influencer marketing platform.
Was they acquired?
Yeah, and so I went up to pitch all the social media agencies for them to sell to their clients.
Yeah.
And Dom sent me a really thoughtful, long email. I think it's the longest email he's ever written.
Yeah.
And he about why the reasons that Hatch and me would find a home there. And actually, what they created there was a really entrepreneurial sort of pool of young, hungry, and high agency people. And they had no hiring policy. It was just pure gut feeling, which is, if I was going to give them credit for something, is their ability to recognize people that were aligned with what their values in life were, and like, building something for yourself. They did that really, really well. So the one thing I learned from there was always hire the amazing people, and have really high bar for what
Not
that is.
necessarily look at their CVs. It's that.
No, I don't really look at CVs anyway. Of course, now we have to hire computer scientists. So we need to know that they've been educated correctly, or they've done something exceptional. My bar for hiring is, what's the most exceptional thing you've ever built?
Yeah.
And so I kind of look at history a bit more, but still understanding the person, understanding who they are, what their desires are and passions, and then hiring off the back of that serves me better than a CV.
Just out of interest, from Steven Bartlett, when you worked with him before his big break, did you look at him and think, this guy's going all the way to the top?
No.
Did you not?
No.
Yeah. What was it? What was he like back then?
He was just a normal person. He wasn't the hardest worker. He wasn't. He wouldn't deliver the projects. He wouldn't do the sales, but he had this ability to go on stage and drive in top of funnel leads into the business. So the business built off his own investment into himself to build his personal brand, and that went quite far in the marketing world at that point. He always had like the ability to be good on TV and to be a media personality.
Yeah, because I knew him through his early days as well, and he always recognised the value of the Steven Bartlett brand, and still does.
Yeah.
And obviously, he's gone on to to great things. Okay, in 2020, you launched a blockchain technology, or your own cryptocurrency called SeanCoin.
Yeah.
I'm rather hoping the deal that you've just done wasn't paid in SeanCoin.
Wouldn't have been a problem if it had.
Now, the only people who had access to it are people called Sean, spelt with an EA or SHAUN, or something similar. So how important is it just to have some fun when you're founding a business and not to fear failure?
Yeah, so fun is always where it comes from. So the thing is, when the crypto market started really booming, I didn't understand it because I didn't understand the fundamentals of the technology. So my approach is to understand something, I build it. And so I looked at, okay, well, coins go through an ICO and initial coin offering, and I want to do an initial coin offering. So I understand the mechanics and the value of what you're creating, therefore is a value for me to invest into it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was coming from. And I just I didn't do it for any marketing, didn't do it for
No.
any launch. I did put together 5,000 people in a Facebook group called Sean to
Yeah.
advertise it to,
Yeah.
and it was just more we met our people. That was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I found a SeanCoin, did the ICO. I think I can't even remember the economics of it now, but it was just to understand and build a token, and yeah, I understood it, launched it. It was quite fun, and
See, I think it's a bit like people who are learning to become like taxi drivers in London, cabbies, and they want to learn the knowledge.
yeah,
It's you can look at an A to Z as much as you want, but there is no substitute for learning, doing the knowledge. It's like learning a language.
Mm.
You can do Duolingo like my wife does every day, or you can go to Italy for 6 months and probably, speed up that process 100-fold as well. And there's no substitute for creating Sean Coin to understand about cryptocurrency.
yeah.
Going to talk to you about Mercato. So Mercato was a business that I knew you in. You grew that to about 24 staff. You doing millions in turnover as well, and you stopped doing that and set up Versori. What lessons did you learn from Mercato?
How to be a shit boss is
Yeah,
what I learned. So Mercato was really tough because I had a really, really bad investor and who actually didn't invest anything into it.
yeah,
And so I'd given up 50% of the business for a bullied deal, let's say.
yeah,
And then, so because we didn't have any money, I needed to earn
yeah,
money before we built the product. So we actually built a product, like again, like self-built, some support with offshore software developers, and launched it. Then we got an interested party that was like, "Hey, like we want to use your platform for X," and it was
mm,
completely different to the A and B that I was using it for.
mm,
But the ability to pivot and recognizing where I was into a dead end, and here's the opportunity. So I pivoted the use case of it. It was a marketplace for let's say founders, entrepreneurs that wanted to launch their e-commerce
yeah,
career, whereas then it flipped it to be a marketplace technology for retailers. So we flipped to become a B2B business, and we convinced the customer to pay 50% upfront. So that acted as our seed funding. We delivered it and then went on to win customers like Troy and Pretty Little Thing. And it really started growing from that point on. What the problem with that is I was always using clients' money to grow, and I was always chasing my own tail to deliver for clients. And I would be completely relentless in that delivery, and I would bear all the pressure of that. But at the time, by the team grew quite organically, quite quickly. And at the time, I just treated people as capital to deliver something,
yeah,
and didn't treat people as a team, which is weird because I grew up in team sports. So I just completely lost the value, what the value of the company was, and I thought it was just purely customer contracts and not the team that were there to deliver on them and build the product. So no, I wouldn't speak to people badly, but I just feel like I wouldn't really understand the 9 to 5 culture. I couldn't understand why is no one working 18 hours alongside me every single day. But of course, now I know that they're coming from a different perspective. They haven't got the same passion and motivation for this specific thing in their life,
yeah.
and I just assumed and expected too much of people unfairly. And whenever they would deliver well, it still wasn't enough.
But some
So, and
people,
that would come out in as a toxicity as a leader, and I hated it. I hated
and
who I was.
you were never, in my experience, never a toxic leader, but I think you probably didn't have that awareness.
Mm,
And a lot of tech entrepreneurs are so head down, focus on the product. They don't necessarily look at the bigger picture stuff. Some people go all their careers without realizing that
mm.
character flaw. So you learned a lot from Mercato, and you set Versori up. You've got these cards in here, and on the back it says Versori, the Gen AI platform for any integration or workflow. So when you set Versori up, what problem were you trying to fix?
So actually, at Mercato, we had a huge issue where these big retailers were coming in and were building marketplaces. Now, the merchants, the sellers on those marketplaces, were trying to connect their product data from their platforms into this marketplace. And of course, all the data was in different formats and they're all different systems. So the integration and the connection between those systems was non-existent because, of course, it was Mercato to those third-party systems. And we looked on the market for an integration platform to solve our need, but the market really had all pre-built connectors and they're quite rigid, and when you wanted to do any customization or changes, it was expensive and a long time to do that. So but we didn't have the budget, we were bootstrapped. So I started getting really annoyed with it. Half of our engineers were working on integrations, and then I decided that, you know, at the end, when the time came for Mercato to close, that I'd move across and start building integrations to try and solve the problem that I experienced as a potential buyer of an integration platform, and that's where Versori came along. So we approached it completely different and novel, where we didn't build pre-built connectors. We built a connector engine that was configured for protocols, but the schema or the system of that would then define that connector. And we started using AI quite early to be able to configure those configurations of connectors. And then when Gen AI code came out, where you could prompt and it would start writing code, and it was starting to be proficient enough, we knew it was going that way. So we started building the platform to support that for when it was ready. And because we'd already built the 0 to 1, as soon as Gen AI code came in, we then use the LLMs to then start writing the code on top of our orchestration layer and our infrastructure. And we were just perfectly positioned to be this next gen iPaaS platform where no one was anywhere near us.
If I was asked to write everything down that you just said in that one answer, I'd probably get about 2 words.
Yeah, that's fair. Apologies.
No, don't worry
We
at all.
wanted to connect systems really easily.
It's the thing is that, like, you understand it in a way which is beyond anybody else, but you need to, because that's your bag. One thing I noticed, like, you're very honest on LinkedIn, and you go to a lot of conferences. And I looked at a post from you, and there was September last year, I think you at Versori went to 4 or 5 conferences, and you reckon 50% of your work, your pipeline work, came through going to a conference. And actually, if people who don't go to conferences might not necessarily understand that, but in your industry, why are conferences the way to drive business growth?
So I get asked this quite a bit, and I love conferences. One, because you're out in the field, you're speaking to people, you're understanding problems, you're trying to find solutions, hot fixes, etc., and it's really fun. However, a lot of people that go to conferences, they get their stand and they hope to fish. And they sit there with their stand and they hope people walk past and they catches their attention. They bring in, have a conversation, they generate leads. And that works for really well, or that can only work that way for maybe like 95% of companies at the conferences we go to, because you can't identify the buyer until they start speaking to you. When it comes to integrations, there's a worldwide assumption that everyone needs integrations. So if you're a tech platform, if you're a retailer, if you're a hotelier, if you're someone in HR, you have systems you want to connect. And that was one of the other like kind of thesis of why I built Versori, is because I felt that it was a commodity that needed to be available in the world at all time, like oil. You need to connect systems, you need to also run cars. So I'm ultra clear that everyone needs integrations. So we get our stand at these conferences. So it's just a focal point. But also I send myself and 2 others, or however many others, to go out and hunt. So we don't fish, we hunt. So we go and literally speak to every single stand up and down, and we just shoot and fish in a barrel, because you get to the stand at a point where that sales rep, and that's a beauty. A lot of software companies only want to speak to the decision makers, but we can speak to the sales rep, because we can say, is your project not going live quick enough because of integrations? And 9 times out of 10, it's integrations are a big pain for us. And so we solve that. Let me show you. They then, when we're showing, then call over their boss, and then their boss then says, here's my card, let's speak after the show.
So what's your success rate like at a conference then?
Put it this way, there was a multi-billion-dollar company that I spoke to them about what's your target genuine leads that you're aiming for at the conference, and it was 90 leads that they were looking for, and they smashed it to around about 150. We went there without a target, because we didn't even think about targets should be a thing at a conference. It is what it is. And then naive, but we came away with 150 people which with not just leads, with 150 meetings booked out for the next 2-3 weeks, because we book the meetings with them on the stand because they need it so much. And then actually the conversion rate from a booked meeting to close, so a qualified meeting to close, at the moment is 100%, because we've managed to take everyone through that pipeline to at least.
So once they're on the hook,
they
stay on the hook. Whereas a cold call, where you're explaining it to a stranger for the first time, is probably next to nothing percentage-wise.
We don't do cold calls. We have a little bit of agentic outreach where we have like an agent sales development rep that goes and sources targets for us, and then sends emails and follows up, and then adds them on LinkedIn and follows up on LinkedIn. And when we get a bite, I then jump into the call.
You've never been afraid to jump on a plane, have you?
No, I hate it though.
Yeah, I mean, you go to America, you'll go anywhere presumably for a deal. Yeah.
I did the other day. Not the other day. Had a knee surgery about 4.5 months ago.
Did you ACL?
ACL.
Yeah, happens to sportsmen.
Elite athletes,
Yeah.
Chris. It's,
I've not had one yet.
tough.
Touch
Yeah,
wood.
yeah. Maybe that's. So there was a customer over in San Francisco, one of our biggest now, and they hadn't signed at that point. And the project, I started looking at like what this sort of commitment from us and them would be. And the reason why I had my surgery then is because I had a break in travel before Christmas. It was October before this Christmas just gone. And then next travel was for January. So I can do that. And I should be on my feet by then. 4 weeks after surgery, and bearing in mind I wasn't stood up for 3 weeks. It was quite a major surgery. The 4th week after, they said, we're having a full team get together to discuss the Versori contract. So I flew to San Francisco for 7 hours and then flew straight back. And my knee was blown up like a balloon, but got the deal across the line.
Yeah, no, but but if you didn't do it and you didn't get the deal, then you might not be sitting here right now. A couple of things I want to talk about. One, in terms of Versori, I mean, you grew, I think, back end of 2025 by 300%, which is the sort of numbers that make people sit up. And you were included in the Y Combinator, which is the leading startup accelerator for entrepreneurs. And I mean, since 2005, the number of businesses that they've sort of invested in, it's like a who's who: Airbnb, Dropbox, Stripe, Reddit, Coinbase. So what difference did being included in the Y Combinator make to Versori's story?
I definitely think it's an amazing stamp of validation. Y Combinator are renowned for investing into like foundational technology or exciting technologies and great founding teams. They have rules that they don't back solo founders, they back co-founders, one with tech and one with commercial and product experience.
You've always been very careful to say you're not the only founder. There's 2 founders in this business.
There's 2 founders. So I've been careful to say we're not co-founders.
Yeah.
We are just 2 independent founders, because I just don't like the denomination of even risking that Dan is considered as a co-founder and secondary to Sean, the founder and CEO. So I always like us being known as founders independently and together of the business. So, but yeah, well, Y Combinator was, we just had our first baby and I had to fly out there. It was tough. 3 months on my own. I did 260 investor calls, half an hour. I'd go down to...
Because the Y Combinator is US based, isn't it? That's the
San
difference.
Francisco.
So you flew over there 3 months.
Left my wife with a newborn here.
The first or the second?
The first kid.
The first kid, right, okay. You must have a very understanding wife.
Yeah, just sold my house to fund Versori.
Okay.
Just,
yeah.
It was...
The things that people don't see about founders.
No, they don't, but also I don't care if they see them or not.
Yeah.
This is my journey that I'm on. It doesn't really matter to anyone else.
So what did you learn in San Francisco and Y Combinator? Did you say you did 260 pitches or 160?
260 first investor calls.
Right.
It was 3 weeks blocked out of half-an-hour meetings from 4 a.m. in the morning and then till around about 6 p.m. at night, San Francisco time.
It's a bit like a TV actor who's got to do a load of media interviews ahead of a film. Because the first one, you sound pretty chipper. By the time you've done the last one of the day, you must be like on autopilot.
Doesn't matter. I love it. I love it still. Speaking to different people, handling different feedback, a lot of negative feedback. And I mean, it
must have worked, because I think Versori's raised about $10.5 million, isn't it?
Yeah, but that hasn't come with ease.
Yeah.
It's come from, you know, refining the pitch, understanding what the feedback is, and trying to filter out the feedback where just people are nasty. And actually, then, yeah, every pitch was like changing 1% at a time all the way through. And yeah, we in the end refined it. We had an amazing investor who came on as like the main seed. He was called Stage 2 Capital. They were fantastic. Jay Poe and Mark Roberge were the main partners there. And they were fantastic. But we spoke on a Monday to the managing partner, contacted us through Y Combinator. Spoke to him on the Monday, had a second meeting on the Monday. Then on the Tuesday, did some go-to-market stuff with Mark. And then on the Wednesday, I was in Austin. We signed the deal there and then. And he actually just shared on LinkedIn a picture of, on the day we went and did the IC, he already had the term sheet, and he pictured a selfie of me pressing the sign on the DocuSign. So quite a cool
But
story.
you can see your face lights up when you talk about stories like that. And actually, even when things like you talked about, you know, the Scuba business that you set up in 2009 as well. It's just fun. You remember that, you know, it's going out with a newborn child back at home for 3 months to try to grow Versori. That's what founders have to do, because it's not a 9 till 5 choice. It's whatever's required. So which makes the reason why your acquisition by Avalara is so important, because there's so much work, even in a 4-year period. You're like a 18, 19-year overnight success story. There's all these learnings that you've done. Because they were a customer of yours, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then they said, well, how do you feel about us acquiring you? What happened next?
Yeah, so actually, I've got a conference in Vegas coming up in 2 weeks, and it was this time last year that you buy these 15-minute sort of like quick pitches, like speed dating about your business, and you try and sell it to them. There's a guy wearing a Masters golf polo top, and they sat down, and you pay like a few grand for these meetings. And I got on with him, and we just started talking about golf. And 12 minutes in, he says, "Are you going to sell me anything?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll build an integration platform." And he says, "Oh, we need integrations. We've got 1,700 integrations we need to build." I was like, "Oh, cool. Let me build one." And he says, "Okay, build a NetSuite one. It takes months." And I said, "Build a NetSuite integration in between X and Y and Avalara." And the code started writing. It was built. We didn't have credentials to access the actual systems, but the foundation of the integration was built in 2 minutes in front of him. He was like, "Wow, holy!" And like, let's follow up. And then we started working with them. Took a while to get through procurement, like every deal goes through procurement with us, because we're doing the critical system integrations, not just peripheral. And then he says, "Oh, the team from the M&A side wants to speak to you." And we had a lot of interest in acquisition last year. And I said, "Oh, no, not really. But like, I'm still trying to win this contract. So yeah, I'll do anything to speak to someone." And then just got on really well. They weren't like traditional private equity type style, like FDs. The CPO turned up, and he's leading the acquisitions. And his passion, his interest, his energy was just like, I get it. I get that guy. And we'd spoke with a lot of people in Avalara at that point, and the culture, the drive, even though they've got nearly 6,000 employees, it still felt like every individual one of them was like super pumped about what they were building. And so I liked it. Then started talking about the deal structure, and it felt like, again, all the investment my family, my wife and children have put into me being away, it repaid them. And that I felt like, okay, right, family sorted now. Good. Now also, I don't want Versori to die. Don't acquire us and mothball us. And it was, no, we want Versori to keep building and keep going out, serve your customers and serve more, grow alongside us and independently. So we keep a team. You've paid us really well for the business. You see value internally for you. You're going to maintain the trust that our customers have put into us. And I get to then work with an amazing leadership team. Where's the downside here?
I mean, you and Daniel Jones, you are the co-founder, staying in the business.
Yes, and founder. And
that's what I meant.
and all the team.
Yeah.
but then also their leadership team were incredible, and we met all of them, spent time with them in person, and it just felt like the right move for the family, the business, and then them. Because if I was Avalara and I looked at, there's an integration platform here that has the ability to go off and potentially go through its subsequent venture rounds and then be $1 billion company potential. But we've got an opportunity here to acquire them, resolve multi-million-pound issue that we have internally, and then they can grow independently. For Avalara, it looked like if I was putting my Avalara hat on, it looked like a steal, because we've got this amazing team, ultra passionate and committed for the foreseeable future, long-term future, and like, but we solve all of our internal problems. It was a match made in heaven. So there was actually no point during the process where I felt unconfident about it happening. It just all felt right.
I've always thought of yourself as, you don't waste thoughts on stuff that isn't worth wasting thought on. And what I mean by that, if I did this interview on a Friday, the odds are you'd still be wearing the same attire that you're wearing now, because you've got 5 identical sweatshirts and 6 identical trousers, just like that. You just don't want to waste time on that, so you just wear what you wear. Even though I did hear a rumor that one of your children was born on the 27th of February, so he only gets
29th.
birthday presents 29th of
Yes.
February. Yeah, he's born on the leap year, the 29th of February, so he only gets presents once every X number of years.
4 years. Yeah, I'm
Ve-
tight.
Very sensible. So it's not the financial rewards or the rewards generally that get your beans jumping. It's the building that still gets your beans
It's
jumping.
always a 0 to 1, but now I get to go 0 to 1 with inside a huge organization, while still feeling, having that soul feeling of independence, which allows me to explore my drive and my passions. So there's no, a lot of people have said to me, how's your first day working for someone?
Yeah.
And actually, it's been better than ever, because I don't come into work now with the existential dread that the business can be no more every single day.
Yeah.
Now it's got the life to go off, and I don't have to, let's say, sign a customer where the revenue isn't quite right for the business. We can just foresee the vision now, fulfill the vision, and that's the most exciting thing. So yeah, I think it's the best outcome across the board.
Generally delighted with you. Final question that we always ask at the end of every episode of The Naked Founder is, there's a tradition in the US where the outgoing president will write a letter to his or her successor. If you had to write a letter to, a young Sean Brown founding a business on day one, or to anybody else considering founding a business, what would you say in that letter?
So at my computer now, I've got a post-it note, and I've always had the post-it note at any desktop I've been at, is profit and purpose. It's a start reminder at all times. Don't waste your time on anything outside of profit and purpose, because actually, and the reason why profit is first, because profit feeds into your purpose. So if I was, and I wouldn't write a letter to myself, because there's nothing I would have not liked to have known, because I've enjoyed figuring it out along the way. But if I was going to write a letter to my sons, it will be, make sure that you and your family are always supported. That's absolute number one. Get that down. But then once you've done that, invest heavily in mind, space, time, money into your purpose. Because I do truly believe that once you found your purpose, the contentness and happiness that you have is always there. People think, why are you working on your laptop late at night? And it's like, this is what I find purpose in. Like, people like to watch TV to unwind. I like to build to unwind. And this is the thing about profit and purpose. If you can get that right, and don't get distracted, because everything in life falls into one of the two of those buckets, doesn't it? Really.
Well, the interesting
you play
thing,
sport is purpose.
We did another interview for the Naked Founder podcast, and this particular founder said that she's got 3 Ps: profit, purpose, passion.
Oh, well.
But she would say that, I think, probably the purpose comes before the profit, and the profit is a byproduct of the passion and the purpose. You would argue the profit is what drives the purpose, because if you're not making profit, you can't drive purpose.
And look, I've grown up in the pub, so I know that and I've been skint recently, been really skint.
Yeah.
So I know that when you don't have enough money or haven't got the means to be able to just go and say, I'm going to play guitar 24/7 because
Yeah.
that's my purpose.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You need to provide for yourself and your family. So you need to start with a profit to ensure that you've got the bankroll for the purpose.
Yeah.
And if you've got that inner purpose, passion is part of purpose in my side. Because if you've got something you feel purpose, of course, drive and passion and energy is all going to come.
I like the fact that you are obviously somebody who builds stuff and you're on your laptop all the time, but you've still got a post-it note. I wonder whether your boys, when they reach, adulthood, whether there will be such a thing as a post-it note. Listen, Sean, massive thanks for sharing some time, giving us your insights as well. That's all for this episode of the Naked Founder podcast. As always, we're sponsored by Financial, the home of money for women. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please press that subscribe button, tell your friends and family, and as always, my name is Chris Maguire.